Welcome to a Joycast from JOY94.9. Visit joy.org.au to find out more about our Joycasts.
Congratulations on the new album, Electra Heart. The single, Prima Donna, was an absolute killer. Dave actually played me the single in my car on Saturday, and I was surprised by the amount of bass that was happening in my car. The car was kind of vibrating. But anyway, I wanted to know, how did you arrive at this creative point?
As soon as the first album was released, I started writing again. So I wrote a song called Living Dead and also a song called Fear and Loathing, which were definitely more, they were kind of more polished sounding, but also a bit more electronic than the first album. And so I knew I wanted that kind of cold, detached sound for most of the album. So it just went from there, really. I started to work with two people from my old album and then two new people, which were Dr. Luke and Rick Knowles.
Now, with the album Electra Heart, which comes out in Australia this Friday, as you mentioned before, you work with some, really big-name producers. Did these collaborations turn out like you expected?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, Luke is the biggest in terms of being commercial, and the first song we did together was Lies, and I thought that it was kind of the perfect combination of both worlds. I think Prima Donna is it's like the most pop song on the record. But yeah, I think I definitely got what I had expected out of it.
This is the single at the moment, so do you think that this is kind of indicative of how you want people to receive Electra Heart?
I don't know. I don't really know how people receive it anyway, generally. I think that it's going to attract a younger fan base, definitely, than my first album. But that's not surprising, because I've got songs like Bubblegum Bitch and Teen Idol on there, so it's...
Which I love, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You know what? It's kind of normal for an artist to use their most pop-sounding and also their most simple song as their first single to get people into it, who are maybe from a broader audience than you started with.
Yeah, do you feel like, with some of the songs you write, that other people could sing it to the same effect?
Most of them, no. I think, if I'm totally honest, I think something like Prima Donna, someone probably could. But again, you have to really ham it up and get into a character in that, because it is, you're kind of, you're portraying a certain archetype in society. So, I don't know, I guess, well, maybe not then.
So were you putting on a character when you did Prima Donna, or was it all you just hamming it up?
Well, it's kind of, I've always been quite theatrical in the sense that I do like hamming it up. I am quite, faux dramatic, so Prima Donna is very me, even though I don't want to admit it. You have to know or actually relate to a certain character if you're willing to write about it.
I think what's really endearing about Electra Heart, and I think generally everything you write about, is this vulnerability and this raw kind of emotional edge in the way you do it.
Yeah, I think people really have connected with the lyrics much more on this album. And I think, as much as I hate to admit it, because for ages I was like, Electra Heart isn't an alter ego. I was really mad about it. I have created a fictional character to talk about my love life, but in doing so, the reason I did that was because it enabled me to be a lot more truthful. And so I think, songs like Starring Role and Lies, people really connect to it because I'm talking about love in a really explicit way that they might not find in other pop songs. Yeah, I think people are connecting to it because it's just a really brutally honest record.
It is very brutally honest, and one of my favourite songs on the album is Lies, and I think you just have this gift of just really not just, I feel like, yes, the lyrics are honest, but I think you need to definitely be given more credit for the way you deliver it as well.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind. It's nice to hear.
The album, I read, took about 18 months to record and write and put together, and I think at some point between Radioactive and where we are today, I got a little concerned, Marina, that you might be overcomplicating this whole era, because there were videos and everything, and all these different interviews where it sounded like you were creating a little opus.
I think what happened was that artists never, ever, ever do press between albums, because it's not very productive in the way, because you just blurt out anything that you're inspired by at the time. So, like, if you'd asked me, I think I did an interview around August when Radioactive came out, and to be honest, I didn't really know how it was going to turn out. And also, I did not want to admit that the album was about love, which is what I should have done, because that's a simple thing to understand, and it's the truth. It's about having a fear of love, and that's what Electra Heart is. It's not about anything else, to be honest. So I'm inspired by a lot of things, and you can see that in the visuals easily.
So why were you hesitant to come out and upright just say, yes, it's an album about love and whatnot?
Because I didn't want the boy at the time who it was about to know that it was. And guys, time frames are very important things. So basically, I wrecked my whole critical response to this record for a fucking boy. But that's the truth, and it's hard sometimes. Maybe you know what? This shows how emotionally inept I am. I can't even say what my record is about to a journalist. I was so scared at the time of admitting that that I'd essentially created a concept album because I got dumped by a boy.
Does he know that it's about him? No.
The time frame's passed, and he can't possibly know.
So you haven't dropped any hints or anything in the booklet or something?
There's no secret messages like when you play it backwards or anything like that going on.
Imagine if when I played it backwards it spells out his whole name.
I'm waiting to get the physical copy of the album just so I can actually see if any particular text or letters light up.
Maybe an acrostic or something?
How creepy.
I know you thought about this, Marina. I know you did. How is it doing press for all this and now having to come out and say, you know what, I got screwed over, thus the album?
Actually, it's a relief, because like you said, I'm going to be honest, I was worried in the beginning because people didn't get it, and they didn't get it because I wasn't being truthful about what it was really about. So it's okay. I mean, you know what? Everyone gets screwed over at least once. So, and I deserved it. I've kind of, everyone does the same as to what is done to them in love a few times in their life. So it's kind of been interesting just to write a song exclusively about love and actually make a gimmick out of it visually. Where, on the first album I didn't even really touch on the topic.
There are artists like Adele that go and write these, really somber albums that make you want to eat ice cream all day in bed. And
oh, God, stop.
And then there's you who makes this brilliant pop album that makes people kind of want to get up and dance but think at the same time. Do you think that this is your place in pop music?
I think my strength is at piano ballads. So things like Fear and Loathing, Teen Idol, and then Obsessions from the last record, I think that's my natural home.
Dave and I have a name for that, Marina. We call it Plinky Lala.
What?
We call that type of music Plinky Lala.
Oh, I love that.
we're gonna be looking out on future press and interview. We're expecting for you to describe your preferred style of music as Plinky Lala.
Yeah, I think my career is going to go down the tubes from then onwards. But I think I can do both, and that's sometimes quite confusing for other people because they're like, well, where does she belong? But at the moment, I think I've definitely coined something in that it is one of those records that's not like get up and dance and just forget about it, but like you said, it makes people think about what they're doing or what's happened. It's a good place to be, and I think I fit there quite well.
What has been the biggest learning curve with you tackling this really glossy pop, kind of sound?
Well, can it be something that's kind of negative?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, negative, not for me, but for other people. I've realised that Having come from, like, the background I've come from, all that kind of thing, it's so interesting how important image is, because I think with this record, it's just so confusing, because I've created a character in order to be more honest, but because I've created a character, people think I'm not being honest. And I think that's kind of one of the big misconceptions about pop music, because there are so many things in front of it, you know, like the image and the ideas. Sometimes, I don't know, I think it's much easier to dismiss it as music that's not credible, it doesn't really have meaning. And I think I was very much in the same opinion maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but I've definitely changed my point of view, because that's what I've been dealing with. So that's the biggest learning curve for me.
With artists like Lady Gaga as well that strive to do a lot of, you know, the visual and really package it as a real pop experience, a lot of people also, you know, would say that she's in a similar situation. Would you relate to that?
I think she's at the point where people know that she's a talented person. Seems like women deal with it a little bit more than men in pop music, and maybe that's because they like having a constructed image more. But it's definitely interesting.
I would love it if more male pop artists, you know, hammed it up the way Gaga did. That would be great.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, you know, we really need someone like that. There's not really any, I can't think of any boy solo artist that's like that, like a David Bowie, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, Marina, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
Good luck with the rest of the album launch, and hopefully we'll get to see you in Australia very soon.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to a Joycast from Joy 94.9.